Step into Wix Studio.
Through car donation.
Do you like?
Can you all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Good morning, CSL Greater Baltimore. My name is Dana Cole, and I'm your practitioner for today. Welcome. We honor your presence. We're very grateful that you're here, and I'm here to lead the pre-service meditation. I invite you to get comfortable however you are, wherever you are. If you're seated, to have your feet planted and your arms gently resting in your lap or on your chair, arms of the chair. And if you're laying down, to fully relax and let what is supporting you, to support your body fully. I invite you to, as you breathe, to feel and just bring to your awareness. I'm going to walk you through bringing your senses to your awareness so that we can go deeper. So I invite you to see what is around you, to observe what's around you, to be aware of your use of vision. And where you are touching something, be it the soles of your feet, your arms, your bottom, your whole body. Be aware of the sense of touch. Taste. Bring to mind the last thing that you tasted. Bring to mind, if you have something you're tasting now, taste it fully. And I invite you to listen to the sounds, the ambience around you. Become aware of your ability to observe the ambience through your auditory sense. And know that I'm speaking to that awareness itself, the thing that sees and feels, hears and touches, tastes. And I invite you now to hear and absorb the words of Ernest Holmes. As we delve into the meditation of imperfect practice, I invite you to hear these words from your voice. I am not bound by any mistake. From the Meditations of Science of Mind, page 561. Let us now let go of everything and enter into the consciousness of that which we believe. The spirit within each of us is God, and it is perfect. It is love, reason, life, truth, and beauty. It is limitless and perfect, and complete and whole. It knows no lack and no limitation. There is nothing we have done, said, or thought which rises up against us, which has power over us, or which limits us. There is no memory of fear, no condemnation for previous mistakes. With the desire to free ourselves from the further indulgence in the mistake, the effect of the previous mistake is wiped out, just as light dissipates the darkness. The universe holds nothing against us. It can hold nothing against us because it can know nothing unlike itself. Therefore, it only knows us as perfection. There has never been an occurrence for which we have to suffer. There has consequently every apparent shortcoming, which could be traced to some mental or spiritual infringement of the law, is not only removed, but its effect is healed. Let me say that again. Consequently, every mental or spiritual infringement of the law is not only removed, but its effect is healed. That means there is no history to our case. All of its history this minute is wiped. All of its history this minute is wiped. Out of the knowledge that is today the perfect law. The law of freedom is the only law there is in the experience. We enter into that freedom with joy, free from every sense of sadness or burden. We enter into it with laughter, with lightness. It is something which lifts us above the heaviness of morbidity and lack and limitation, and into that rarer atmosphere where our opinions do not collide, and we enter into it. We enter into it with peace, free from fear. We know that infinite wholeness is in us and through us and around us now. And we are conscious that we are renewed this moment instantly and perfectly after the image of perfection. We are now guided into right action in every presence, in every exercise of our affairs. Since there is no great and there is no small to the infinite, all that seems of little consequence in our lives has the divine guidance just as perfectly and completely as that which we think as being tremendously important. We are guided into the knowledge of happiness, of certainty, of wholeness, and of freedom. And we know that there is that subtle essence of the Spirit which emanates from us at all times, healing everything it contacts. So as we rest in, I am not bound by any mistake. I would like to now share with you a video and some music until we start our service.
Good morning, CSLGB community. We'll open our celebration service. The musician, Sanahara Ama Chandra, will ring the bell and sing, and we will then have an invocation by Dana Cole, our practitioner of the day.
I am part of the earth, and the earth is in me. I am part of the earth, and the earth is in me. You are part of the earth, and the earth is in me. You are part of the earth, and the earth is in me. Air, fire, water, earth, wind, light, ocean, trees, they are part of the earth, and they are part of me. Air, fire, water, earth, wind, light, ocean, trees, they are part of the earth, and they are part of me. We are part of the earth, and we are part of me. We are part of the earth, and we are part of me. Good morning.
Good morning. And this is what I know. I am ever so grateful that we are one with Spirit, that this Spirit which permeates everything, which imbues us all with this life, with life itself, for it is life itself, and love and light. And I invoke this beautiful, wonderful presence into our service today. And I'm ever so grateful and thankful for those who are participating in our service today. I'm grateful for the music that Sanahara Ama Chandra is bringing to us, to bring us into this atmosphere of love and presence. I'm very grateful for Harry Leffman, our host and board member, who supports this center and supports our service today. I'm so very grateful for Reverend Alexandra Musser, our newly minted minister, who is bringing to us a word today that will enrich and enlighten. So we're so grateful that our hearts are open to the message to be received. And so I bless our proceedings. I bless all of you watching now, watching via video, because you're carrying this signal from all of us to you. And I release this word knowing it is so. And so it is.
Thank you so much, Dana and Ama. We're so glad to have you with us. And welcome everybody to the Center for Spiritual Living Baltimore's Sunday celebration service. Thank you for joining us wherever, and since this is on Zoom and YouTube, and whenever you are joining us. I'm your host, Harry Leffman. Our speaker today is Reverend Alex Musser. Our practitioner, who led the pre-service meditation and invocation, is Dana Cole. Our musician is Sanahara Ama Chandra, and our service producer, Dana Cole again. Thank you all for your service. At CSL, every Sunday is Bring a Friend or Family Member Sunday. We invite you to bring a friend or family member as we spread CSLGB's love, light, and joy. All are welcome here. We would love to have them hang out with us as well as you. Now I invite you to read along with me as I read our sacred covenant and our community prayer. First, the covenant. This is what we know. The circle of divine love is complete. It comprehends all, includes all, and binds all together with everlasting unity. We are forever held in love's presence and care. Divine love is complete as me. I am the divine love that I am. And our community prayer. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I know that I am one with all its blessed expressions, which includes the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore Community. I know that the highest purpose of CSLGB is a revelation of God as divine love. As I now accept the highest expression of CSLGB into my life, I know that it is revealed in a way that glorifies God and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by this presence. I am grateful God is gracious. Amen, Ashe, and so it is. And now I would like to welcome back Ama Chandra to share her musical gifts with us. But first, I'd like to share a few words about Ama. Ama is a Reiki master, a sound healer, a holistic nurse. She's had a lifelong relationship with sound. On her path of seeking, she has acquired many skills and experiences and brings to her work an embodied expression of emotion, of healed trauma, and unconditional love. She's now back in school to become a certified holistic nurse, allowing her to bridge her passions of psychology, sociology, nursing, and holistic healing. Her new podcast, Sincerely Ama, and there's a link there, and her new website, sanaharaenergetics.com, offer us a variety of quantum energy healing and holistic RN care plans. Please subscribe to her YouTube channel. Just search Ama Chandra and join her online Sacred Temple community, patreon.com, The Risen Heart. We are so pleased to have Ama with us today.
I'm so glad to be here with everyone. You know, I really got to update my bio. Oh my gosh, I love today's title, and it is Practice Makes Imperfect. And I understand that I see myself more and more every day. So I offer that in the frequency of this song, in the frequency of this message, because really, aren't we all just ever doing the best we can? Thank you. sending messages my way. The clouds are sending messages my way. I rise up in the morning time, clear heart, clear mind, feel the sunlight on my face, ready to make a brand new day. I don't know what it will be, I just know it starts with me. To give what I came to give, I gotta go, I gotta fight, I gotta live, I look high, yeah. I look high. The clouds are sending messages my way. 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 Feel the sun on my face as it speaks to me. See the clouds in the sky as they set me free. When the wind it blows and touches my shoulders, when the rain it pours and washes me over, I don't know what it will be, I just know it starts with me. To give what I came to give, I gotta go, I gotta fight, I gotta live, I look high, yeah. I look high. The clouds are sending messages my way. 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 Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'd like to bring back Dana Cole. And thank you, Dana, for providing our reading and our spiritual practice.
Good morning again, CSL Greater Baltimore. I got to get used to looking at the camera instead of me on the on the screen. I'm going to share with you from the book. This book is by Craig Colavo. It's called I Am God in Disguise, and So Are You. And this is how he kind of incorporates spiritual mind treatment, bringing presence into his practice. So I'm going to share with you by reading this spiritual practice. It's quite interesting how he talks about it. So starts on page 125 if anybody has an opportunity to get the book. Did you know the Latin root for animate is anima or animat, which means spirit, soul, or to instill with life? Anyway, since I'm offering you practical steps to change your life post surrender, surrender to spirit, number one step should be to look inward when communicating with God. You're not a child anymore. The divine resides within. You're hosting God. You are hosting God. I'm not sure how else to say it. You are God in disguise. This might seem like an insignificant detail, but it represents a very important shift. Inward focus is really the prerequisite for successful meditation practice. One of my favorite affirmations which I recite several times per day, is the following. I am this body they call Craig. This is our disguise, capital O. I'm aware of my divine nature. I devote myself to you. We are one. Since I have this memorized, I probably repeat it 10 times a day. Close my eyes. I close my eyes and take a 15-second time out. This is very powerful for me. Every word in these 5 lines mean a lot. Yes, let me break them down. I am this body called Craig. I'm first acknowledging my body, which is an important vehicle to God's expression, for God's expression, a gift from the Creator. At the same time, I am aware I am much more than this physical form. When I say they call Craig, I'm playing with the idea of being aware of this mask, of the mask, quote unquote. 2, this is our disguise. It's fun for me to think of being an undercover agent on an heroic mission. I strongly believe the spiritual path should be a fun adventure. You get to be 007 on a covert mission. The word our is capitalized because I know my higher self lies beneath the mask. 3, I am aware of my divine nature. I am simply acknowledging the divine within. I'm communicating with my higher self, the silent observer who is listening 24/7. It's kind of like saying, I see you. 4, I devote myself to you, capital Y. These six magic words are huge. This statement reconfirms my commitment to surrender. It also is a call to action, which I will discuss later if you read the book. There is significance between the lowercase self and the capitalized you. This small self is my human consciousness, happily merging with the divine within. Powerful stuff. 5, we are one. Although it was easy for me to feel oneness after surrender, it is very difficult to explain using words. It's almost like we don't have the language necessary. Therefore, I like to end my affirmation with, we are one. If you do this affirmation at least 3 times per day, you will begin to see results. Do it when you get out of bed in the morning, midday, and immediately before you close your eyes at night. When we fall asleep, when we insert affirmations into our mind before we fall asleep, amazing stuff happens. So, I suggest that you listen to this again. Maybe try it. I certainly am. And I appreciate that. And I will type it in the chat, Frank. Excellent. Oh, and I'm complete, Harry.
Oh, okay. I lost control of my computer a moment. I'll be right back.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're right here. We
Yeah,
see you.
I'm right. Got that. Okay, here we go. Ah, thank you, Dana, for that reading and the spiritual practice, which I hope you will send me on email because I'm a little too busy right now to take it out of the chat. And I'd like to introduce now our speaker, the newly minted Reverend Alexandra Musser. She graduated with her master's in consciousness studies from the Holmes Institute and the School of Spiritual Leadership. Her focus as a new minister is to offer science of mind as the same metaphysical philosophy and spiritual psychology that Ernest Holmes intended, not a religious movement, as a spiritual approach to positive living, where spiritual laws meet and mix with the laws of science, and together reveal a greater universal truth, where humanity is one with the creative spirit and all of creation. All there is God. So science and spirituality cannot be in conflict or create an image of duality. Ernest Holmes tells us there is power for good in the universe available to all. Life mirrors our very thoughts and expectations. So Reverend Alexandra asks us, how empowering is it to know we are the creative authors of our lives and that we can use this power to create a more peaceful, benevolent world for all. We are so glad to welcome Reverend Alexandra Musser today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Harry and Dana in Greater Baltimore. It's just an honor to be here with you. And just a little bit of qualification. I'm a ministerial intern. I have completed my studies. However, we have capstones in the fall, and after that, I will be formally licensed. But I am finished with the School of Spiritual Leadership and with my Master's in Consciousness Studies. And I am just so excited to be able to share the things that I have been blessed to learn and to know through this process. So this month, we are leaning into our imperfections. Last month, we spent talking about courage. And I want to link the 2 months together by saying that courage is not the absence of fear. And so I'm going to start out with a little story for you about courage. In the 17th century, there was a galleon ship that went to get treasures and collect treasures and riches and things, wealth from all over the world. And it was sailing back to the kingdom with all of this wealth aboard. And as it was maybe less than a week away from port, the first mate let the captain know he was looking afar through his little, I guess they didn't have binoculars, that had monoculars, said, "Captain, sir, there is a pirate ship that is headed for us." So the captain said, "All right, first mate, go down and get me my red shirt." And while the first mate went to get him his red shirt, he just fired up the troops and he talked to all the people on board and told them how important it was to protect the treasure. And he got his red shirt from the first mate. See, I'm even wearing a red shirt today. And the pirates came and they defeated them and they continued to sail on towards port. So a couple of days later, the first mate announces as he's looking, "Captain, sir, there are now 4 pirate ships gunning for us on the horizon." So the captain said, "All right, go down to my quarters and get me my red shirt." So he gets him his red shirt and he fires up all the sailors, all the men on board, explains to them what an important process they have, how they've been entrusted with this by the kingdom. This time it is not so easy. But although they have some casualties, they do defeat the 4 pirate ships. And later on that evening, they have a celebration. And the first mate says, "Captain, why is it that you always ask me to bring you your red shirt?" And the captain says, "Well, I really believe in leading by example, and I know that all of the crew looks up to me. And should I get wounded and should I bleed, they would instantly feel defeated and they would be concerned for me. So I wear a red shirt in battle." And so they thought that was really amazing of him. And again, he was a model captain. They proceed on to sail to port. One day out of port, the first mate says, "Captain, sir, there are now 8 pirate ships gunning for us." And the captain says, "First mate, I want you to go down to my quarters and get me my brown pants." So you see, courage, and next slide, please, Dana. Courage is not the absence of fear. There have been many things said about courage. Courage is what we need to overcome. Courage is when we do the right thing despite our own fears. Martin Luther King said, "I learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but triumph over it. The brave is not the one who does not feel afraid, but the one who conquers that fear." And Winston Churchill said, "It's being able to do what you have to do while you're afraid." And of course, Mark Twain told us the same thing, and then added, "But consider the flea, incomparably the bravest of all the creatures of God, if ignorance was to be considered a virtue." And yes, we can go on to the next slide, please. We say that fear is evidence appearing real. But really, what if it's not? Because when we lean into our imperfections, we have to accept our fears. And all of our fears, most of them, are based on something having happened to us at a time when we were vulnerable. Maybe somebody betrayed our love, betrayed our friendship. We were homeless. We were called a failure. We thought that we did something so magnificent and somebody was ungrateful and belittled us for it. And so now what happens is these things become our triggers. So we catastrophize any event based on past experience because that past experience hurt us. And so sometimes there are many ways in which we can be made feel less than. And that's really what we fear, isn't it? Not being able to measure up. Maybe not being able to defeat the pirates, but maybe not being able to get approval, maybe not being able to be loved, maybe not being able to be appreciated, and feeling that there is nothing that we can do about it. And it just brings your stomach up in your throat. I want to share with you a personal story. Those of you that know me know that I was born in Bucharest, Romania, and my family wanted a boy. And naturally, as you can see, I was born a girl. I'm named Alexandra after my dad. I was raised from the time I can remember with the following story. My mother was so certain that she was going to have a boy. She was brought a little boy with black curly hair. Romanians are like Italians. They have olive skin and they have dark hair and they have brown eyes. And she was just so happy. And then they came and they took that little boy back within minutes and they said, "I'm sorry, we made a mistake." And they brought her a bald-headed little girl with blue eyes. And my mother was devastated. And I was raised with the story that for 3 days in the hospital, she would have nothing to do with me and she was totally depressed. Up until my grandmother said that she would raise me. And at that point, my mother said, "Well, let me take another look at her," because she did not want my grandmother to have one over her. Now, that was my very first irreversible error. And I was raised with that. And there are so many people, I have so many LGBTQ friends that feel that the gender that they identify with or the love that they feel for their own gender is a mistake. And they feel shamed and they feel like they're not good enough and they try to make themselves into something they're not. If you wouldn't mind turning the slide, please. And so that's even taking what happened to me to a greater level. And so of shame and embarrassment. And so Brene Brown, who is a researcher and she studies social studies, has taken time to research imperfections. And so, of course, when she began to do this study, because she's a person that likes things nice and tidy and in the box, the first thing that she did is she realized this level of shame, this level of irreversible failure and dirt that people feel for not being able to measure up. And so this resulted in her going into a 1 full year of therapy, coming to grips with herself, being able to laugh at herself. And then she wrote a book, and she's talking about the beauty of vulnerability, being able to embrace who and whose we are. And that is the true meaning of courage. And this is her prayer for vulnerability. And I like all of us to please read it together. And if you'd like to turn up your microphone, even though it's Zoom, I just really believe in the choir of voices coming from one mind and one heart. And she says, may we find the courage to let go of who we think we're supposed to be, so that we may fully embrace our authentic self, the imperfect, the creative, the vulnerable, the powerful, the broken, and the beautiful. May we show ourselves and others
and
the
others the
compassion
compassion
that
that
comes
comes
from
from
knowing
knowing
that we are
that
all
we are
made
all
of
made
strength
of strength
and
and
struggle.
struggle.
May we
May we
create
create
a just
a
and
just
equitable
and
world
equitable world
where
where
privilege
privilege
isn't
Privilege
a
isn't
isn't
a
a
prerequisite for
prerequisite
prerequisite for
for
self-expression
self-expression and
and for
authenticity,
authenticity, where
where
everyone
everyone
feels
feels
invited
invited and
and
safe
safe
and safe
to
to
express
express
their
their
vulnerability
vulnerability
and
and
their
their
and their
power.
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 Loving
Loving
ourselves
ourselves
is the
The
most
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 important
important
thing.
important
thing.
thing.
We
We
can't
can't
give
give
Cannot give
anyone
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 what
what
we
we
what
do
we
not
ourselves
do
have.
not have.
don't have. Thank you for joining me in that. Next slide, please. What happens when we begin to think that we can do things is we become courageous and open and happy. Courage is the opposite of fear. Fear. It is faith. It is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. And so we in Science of Mind believe in the power of thought to affect and influence our outcomes and our matter, the things that happen in our lives. We know about the observer's effect. We know about the power of affirmation. We know about the power of positive thoughts, the law of attraction, and meditation. And so we can do things that we are afraid of doing if we focus on the flip side of the coin. Yes, we have reasons to be afraid, but we know, as Ernest Holmes said, that there is a greater power for good in the universe and that we can use that. And that is where our courage comes from, not to deny our fear, but to move out against and despite our fear into the light that is our divine birthright. The next slide, please. So where does this all start? So it starts when at one point someone sets a standard we fall short of, and it's all downhill from there. Someone tells us that we are to be something than what we truly are. And so we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, we want to feel good. And so we abandon our authentic self and we make ourselves in the likeness and image of what someone that we look up to, someone whose love and someone whose approval we need. Maybe we were little and we didn't know the difference. And we try to make ourselves into that. And that becomes a habit. It becomes a habit from childhood, through kindergarten, through school, through our adult lives in business, in relationships. I also tutor public speaking and I work with someone. I've worked with him for years, brilliant, wonderful man. He works for a commercial real estate company and commercial leasing. And he said, Alex, all of us are trying to make sure when we present that no one can see our chinks. And I said, everybody has the same chinks in their armor. Where does this come from? And the idea that people actually are going to be able to believe that you are perfect is equally insane, because we know that imperfection is nothing other than somebody's opinion of us, and then it becomes our opinion of ourselves in spirit. There is no imperfection. If we are the likeness and image of the divine, we are perfect as it is, and we never fall short of God. We maybe fall short of the opinions of others, and consequently, maybe we've come to believe those, and we fall short of our own expectations of ourselves. But that is flawed thinking. Next slide, please. This is how it started in the beginning. And when I created the slide, and even as I look at it, it makes me want to cry, because can we not identify with the little tiny divine godling that came into this world with divine optimism and love? And then, like the square peg trying to go into the round hole, it didn't fit. It weighed too much, or in my case, I weighed too little. People said I was too skinny and gangly. The person that identified with perhaps another gender, but they were trapped in the body of their birth. Someone being shamed at school for not knowing what they don't know, as if we are born with the DNA for any particular study. We don't. We have to cultivate that. Feeling left out in the face of argument or a dysfunctional family. Being bullied at school. Being told that we better do this or that, or we're not good enough. And that's the feeling. If you can have the courage now to tap into yourself, and I'm doing that, I bet we can bring that feeling forward again. And that's our vulnerability. And that is when our inner godling needs a hug, needs to be told, you are good enough, you are loved, you are perfect. That's not when that little inner godling needs a new set of directions as to how to measure up to all the people in that slide. Next slide, please. Where do these early experiences begin? They begin in early childhood. We develop a sense of self-worth as children based on how others treat us. And even if we're treated well as children, when we grow up, we place our faith and our identity in our peers. And maybe they do not treat us that well. It's learned behavior, observing others, and it can contribute to our development of fears and self-blame, something called vicarious learning. We watch somebody else fall and stumble. Everybody laughs at them. They run away crying, and we learn, you will never fall and stumble. That must be horrible. Cultural influences and expectations. If we look at the different cultures in the world, we can see that. We can really see that. Some cultures do not honor women at all. Some little girls are given away in parts of China. Cultures may emphasize the dangers of persons or situations, reinforce our fears in individuals, or even create a sense of shame if we see ourselves as another person. We can have a role model that is someone of a different faith, and maybe that faith is not considered accepted. We can have a role model that's someone that identifies with a different gender. We can have a role model of someone that speaks out against status quo. And that person is exactly who our parents and our culture tells us never to grow up to be like, because of look at what happened to them. And cognitive factors, we interpret the situations that influence our fears logically. We interpret them through emotions, and we think that's logic, because true logic does not begin to develop until we're between 7 and 11 years old. My grandson is going to turn 7 this October. He's going into first grade. He already has perceived negative experiences and they become triggers, and they can be disciplinary issues. When he gets bullied, when someone makes fun of him, that has become so important to him. And he can cry about that. He was putting together a Lego set yesterday, and one piece was damaged in some way. It still could have come together. But he said, oh, there's no point in putting this Lego card together, Gaga, because look, this piece is flawed. It looks like it's been gnawed on, and maybe a dog did chew it under the table. I don't know. But out of the 800,000 pieces of perfect Lego pieces, he thought, he already has it in his head, not from us, not from his mother, that the one Lego piece that was flawed made the entire car project worthless, because that would be what people would see. And in fact, he said to me, I said, this could still work. He said, no, the only way this could still work is if all the pieces were gnawed and it looked like this one. And he's not even 7 years old. And we carry that within us instead of bringing it forward into the light and healing it and saying, that's not true anymore. Whoever told me that, I don't even know who told me that. They don't matter anymore. I know better now. And next slide, please. What Brené Brown teaches us is that we must first learn to love ourselves. And now that we are grown up, we can practice changing our own story. What somebody else thinks of us is none of our business anymore. And so we have to spend time with ourselves. We have to dig all of this stuff out and embrace it, love it, nurture it, heal it, and recognize that these imperfections are the source of our strength. The next slide, please. Neale Donald Walsch, Conversations with God. He has published 38 books. At the time that he wrote Conversations with God, it was not intended to be published. It was personal for him. He had been a producer for a radio show. He had had spinal surgery. It did not go well, and his back was broken. His wife left him. He lost his job, and he lived in this car. And he was better than middle age at the time. And he began those conversations with God to try to understand, why was this happening to him? We know that since then, he has written 38 books. He lives in Ashland, Oregon, which is a beautiful place. He has remarried, and he has turned himself around from that painful place to someone that now is an example to others. And so how do I know this about him? Is because I attended a workshop with him, and he starts out by sharing that time that could have defined them, that time of homelessness, of failure, of abandonment. I was reading Quora. I sometimes like to look at that. And someone said, I don't see why God would speak with Neale Donald Walsch. God doesn't talk to me, and I'm a person of faith. God talks to everybody, but we have to listen. If we don't listen, it seems that God is not speaking to us. Maybe we don't feel worthy. Maybe we don't like what God has to say to us. Maybe we are playing a louder script, but God speaks to all of us. Next slide, please. Edison, we know how many times he failed at creating the light bulb, but he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. How is that for a way to look at things? I didn't fail however many times. This was part of my process of being here. Isn't that a different, most beautiful way to embrace ourselves and to know that our failures are not our enemies, but they're our teachers. They are our guideposts in life. And the next one, please. Brene Brown, in The Gifts of Imperfection. She says, how much we know and understand ourselves is critically important. But there is something that is even more essential to living a wholehearted life. It is loving ourselves. And so the idea that we can love ourselves when we become perfect is a ridiculous idea. We must love ourselves right here, right now, recognizing that we are perfect. Even if we are on try 753 of 1,005, it is an essential step. We are here walking the path of becoming the best and highest version of ourselves, but each and every single day is the best and highest version of ourselves up until now. Isn't that wonderful to celebrate that, as opposed to the fact that we haven't arrived yet? Because you know what happens when we arrive? We transcend. We make our transition. I kind of like it here, and I'm sure that many of you do too. It's something to be celebrated. The present is indeed a gift. And next slide, please. Ernest Holmes writes, the law works for us by flowing through us. If we believe it will not work, it works by appearing not to work. It works according to our belief. He said, what is fear? Nothing more, not less than the negative use of faith. Faith is misplaced, a belief in two powers rather than one. Because we cannot serve two masters. We cannot believe in the universal good and that there is a universe that is conspiring to support us, and at the same time believe in our fears. And so what you focus on, expand. We have to make a choice. But that choice doesn't mean that we abandon those butterflies, that concern, that thing that goes, oh, I don't know. It means stepping out in faith despite that. And the next slide, please. The Fillmores, Unity. They studied under Emma Curtis Hopkins with our own Ernest Holmes. And this is what they wrote. Thoughts are things. They have tremendous power. Thoughts of doubt and fear are pathways to failure. When you conquer negative attitudes of doubt and fear, you conquer failure. Thoughts crystallize into habit. Habit solidifies into circumstance. The more we practice and we see and celebrate our successes, the more the demonstrations encourage our faith. By the way, Myrtle Fillmore had tuberculosis. And at the time that she lived, in the late 19th century, 70–80% of people with tuberculosis passed away. They died. Myrtle decided to take different classes, different courses on mental healing, and she was able to heal herself. When she did that, she knew that she had a 20–30% chance of living a full normal life, which she did. But she was able to do that through her faith. Most of us, if we play the odds, would have gone out and bought ourselves a plot with a few. Charles Fillmore, at the age of 10, had an ice skating accident, and he fractured his hip that disabled him in walking and physical activities for the rest of his life. After Myrtle cured herself of tuberculosis, he began to take the same classes and apply the same spiritual mental practices, and he healed himself from his disabilities, and he lived well into his 80s when unfortunately he passed away of cancer. And what we do know is that our human earth suit is finite. So we heal ourselves and we heal ourselves, but we know that at one time we do transition out of it. But they believe. And that is the root teaching that they brought forward in unity. That's what brought them into the New Thought movement. Next slide, please. Stardust. I'm here to remind you that you are made of stardust, God stuff. Stardust is the cosmic dust that's condensed from matter left behind by exploding stars. And what it does is it recycles. It creates new planets and new stars. And all of these molecules are in our own bodies, and they're known in every single component of everything on Earth. We are vibrational beings. We are having a human experience. And it is no surprise that all of us are made out of the same God stuff. Stars are born from their past skeletons, and they reform themselves, and they reinvent themselves. And we, just like the novas, the supernovas, are in that same eternal creative process. And next slide, please. In closing, what we need to remember that what we perceive as our flaws is always divinely perfect. By leaning into our imperfections, we can cultivate self-acceptance, and we can connect more deeply with the divine in others. Doing this is the source of empathy. Unless we have self-empathy, we cannot be empathetic of others. We cannot love others unless we love ourselves. And we have to know that our oneness is divine. It is unique and whole, and nothing is imperfect in God. Our imperfections and our perfections, like both sides of the coin, are part of the same coin. There isn't a heads and there isn't a tail. And in closing, the last slide, please. Meister Eckhart tells us that the eye in which I see God is the eye in which God sees me. Think of the responsibility that you have towards yourself and others if that is the truth. Life mirrors who and what we are in our own mind. And so how important is that we see God in ourselves in total perfection? There is only one presence, one mind, one power in the universe. And so it is important that we pay attention to how we perceive it. It mirrors back our life. It mirrors back how others see us. And it creates a world that truly is balanced and works for all. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
At CSLGB, we practice conscious giving, also called dana. Dana in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. Dana is the practice of cultivating generosity. It can take the form of giving to those in need, giving to a community, or giving to where you are fed spiritually. As we gather today in the spirit of love and fellowship, we're mindful of the profound impact of conscious giving, dana. As we give, we receive. There are a few ways to practice conscious giving and your support of CSLGB. You will find them on the donate page on our website. You can use PayPal, Givelify, or text money. We also put our website link in the chat. And together we will say our community thought for this. Join with me. Together as a community, let us declare our financial wealth and abundance. I joyfully, consciously, and gratefully participate in the law of circulation. I trust in a spiritual principle that says, as I sow into my beloved community, I demonstrate my awareness of standing not only in the flow, but as the flow itself. As I sow of myself, my time, my treasure, my talent, I demonstrate my support and engagement in my community's vision, mission, and purpose. I actively give as a demonstration of manifesting, of reaping the harvest of a world that works for all. And we thank you for your support. And now we'll have a final song from the amazing Ama Chandra.
Hey, back to the beginning of time. No, nothing, nowhere, nor no one to find. Chase after the moonlight, chase after the sun, searching for some peace of mind, searching for the silver lining. Stop, turn, look, see, pause, breathe, run, dream, stay strong, live and lead, move, love across seas. Oh, oh, seas. Oh, oh, seas. Oh, seas. Oh, oh. Stop, turn, look, and see. Pause, breathe, run, and dream. Stay strong, live, and lead. Move, love across seas. Oh, oh, seas. Oh, oh, move love. Oh, oh, move love.
Thank you, Ama. Thank you so much. So this is the third Sunday in July. We're continuing to hold virtual services on the first and third Sundays, July and August. We'll resume in-person services on September 8th. That's the Sunday after Labor Day. We'll have 2 in-person services in a row. Today at 4 o'clock, Robert Hitt Studio is hosting the reunion weekend of concerts on the lawn, 4523 Old Court Road in Pikesville. Reunite with family and friends, bring a lawn chair, a blanket, something to drink and snacks while enjoying a relaxing afternoon of live music. Huge range of styles, 70s rock and roll, a $20 suggested donation, support studio scholarships and local charities. And save the date. CSLGB is co-hosting the Peace and Wellness Festival on Saturday, October 5th, from 11 to 5. The other co-host is Ruskin Mansion, and that's where we are holding the Peace and Wellness Festival. Stay tuned for more
Woohoo!
details. We invite you to visit our website, www.cslgreaterbaltimore.org/events for updates on our events and to sign up for our newsletter, because that will give you other ways to keep up with what we're doing. And now what we're really about here, and that is conveying every Sunday, every time we get together, our basic message: prayer works. We practice spiritual mind treatment, also known as affirmative prayer. As a community, we continue to treat and move our feet, knowing the truth for ourselves, our community, and our global family. So, if you would like a miracle in a minute prayer after service, a practitioner will be in the Zoom room after service. You'll be placed on a private breakout room with practitioner on duty. You may also complete a prayer request on our website or email to info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. And so it is. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Or if you're watching at another time, thanks for watching us now. We honor your presence. It feels really warm and comforting for me to be here. And we're going to continue to be here for a while. You're welcome to join us after the closing prayer for fellowship in the Zoom room. After that, we will have a board meeting you're invited to attend. And now we will do the closing prayer. Reverend Alex will lead us in the closing prayer.
All right. Thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful service you have, Greater Baltimore CSL, and what beautiful lights you all are. And thank you for having me here. I invite you to please close your eyes and settle back into your chairs and open your minds, open your heart, activate that longest 18 inches between your heart and your brain. And just breathe in gratitude. Breathe in gratitude for this community. Breathe in gratitude for the truths that have been spoken here today, in prayer, in meditation, in song, in the message, in the words, spoken and unspoken of everyone here, the lessons of Brene Brown. And so, before we close, I just invite you to affirm with me deep, deep, deep inside that there is one power, one intelligence, one beauty, one creative spirit, one omnipotent, omniscient magnificence in the universe that we call God, that we call spirit, that we call the divine one, that we call divine intelligence and divine mind. And we are, each and every single one of us, a perfect individuation of that. Right here, right now, that we are joyfully celebrated, affirmed, loved, lifted up, guided, guarded, and protected, and supported in each and every single thing that we do in the cultivation of further development of this creative spirit as we have our being on this planet, as we, as spiritual beings having a human experience, expand the mind of God through our own actions, deeds, and love. And I'm just so grateful for that. And so knowing this, I can now safely cast away any fear and embrace anything that looks as imperfection, knowing that it is God in expression here right now. And I love it. I treasure it. I celebrate it. I know this for each and every single one of you. And I invite you to do the same with me as we affirm. It's so it is. Ashe, amen, and thank you, Mother, Father, God.